is a bigger picture.
People acting as free agents as well.
There is a bigger picture.
The bigger picture here is that religion is the number one most important, successful way of controlling people and producing harmony, or depending on how you use religion, of course, disharmony.
There's too many religions floating around in the UK,
that's different.
in the UK. And actually, because I was arguing about this the other night
you get disharmony with diversity.
Well, actually, do you know? As I said before, there's three types of diversity. There's the diversity of thought. There's the diversity of race. Then those two aren't a problem. When you've got the diversity of culture and values, when you've got a differentiation in values, because let's face it, companies actually have a code and said these are the values of the company. If you adhere to the values of the company, there's more harmonious and there's growth. As soon as you actually start getting people with different values coming into a company and wanting to change it, that's when no one's sailing in the same direction. It's like everybody's then crashing into each other. So when you've got and someone said to me, immigration is not a problem and we should take more immigrants, and I've always said, you should be able to take a country can only sustain so many people compared to its landmass. The UK is a small island, and now you've got all these different cultures, all these different values on one small island, and they're tripping up over each other.
Yeah, I mean, the government should be sacked immediately, quite honestly. There's nobody...
Actually, all governments should be sacked.
Correct.
All governments
and that's why you need dictators. That's why Donald Trump is trying to be a dictator. That's why Theresa May tried to, but failed.
We'll be happier being told what to do. This is where you and I start going in different directions.
Yeah, because people don't want to think. People don't want to think. They do want to be guided.
Yeah, but the thing is,
as long as they see something in it for them.
That's providing everybody wants to be led. But you've got enough people out there.
No, people do need to be led.
Yeah, but the thing is, you're singing about one overall leader. Hold on a second.
Vast majority want to be led.
Before you keep on jumping in on this one, you're talking about there's plenty of leaders out there who, if given the opportunity and the autonomy to be able to grow, can do magnificent things. Which is why when you actually have one leader that suppresses that, it stops people from innovating, it stops people from growing.
But there are good points to that. But of course, the difficulty is you can't have more than one leader. Full stop.
That's right. But the thing is, and that's where as flawed as the whole
that's why you can't have. That's why you can't have two leaders.
Hold on. I know you keep on jumping in there. All right. As soon as and that's where democracy does come in. Because the thing is, there's a point where you actually have to stand up. Look at we talked about dictators before, so we're going to have to stop.
The key thing is this: democracy is completely useless for leading. What you need is one dictator who then uses democratic values to let people sort themselves out.
So Mugabe was a dictator, Chavez was a dictator, Hitler was a dictator, Mussolini was in effect a dictator. All these great people,
the most effective leaders.
Who effectively did they?
The most effective leaders. The difficulty was they just led in the wrong way, but they were the most effective.
Yeah, fine, Theo. We'll
Alexander the Great. All these great leaders.
That's because he was mentored by Socrates, wasn't he?
No, it wasn't Socrates, but it was another great philosopher.
Plato.
Don't know.
He was mentored. I'm going to have to check that out for next time. I want to go back to the whole Christmas thing about happiness and things like this.
They also they've shown that even one very, very heavy, sugary, fatty meal will make it much more likely that someone with heart disease or cerebrovascular disease will have a heart attack or a stroke.
Well,
so just bear that in mind.
Adding to the Christmas spirit. Let me ask you a question, Theo. How you being a psychiatrist and all, how did people? If people are going through that tough time at Christmas, because let's face it, and we will talk this on a podcast just before the new year, because I'm sure everyone's had these multiple of emails coming through about how to change your life in 2018 and set your goals for 2018 and all this. And that's going to be the topic of our next conversation, by the way, about your goal setting and things like that over the new year and whether it actually works. But so we're all getting these emails. So at this time of year, you've got a lot of people who use it. So some people are happy, the presents are being given out to everybody. Yet there's all these people who, or a very large pocket of people who are incredibly unhappy. How does someone take control of their lives to actually make 2018 a better place or a better year? You know, because this is the time when they're feeling it, particularly when they've got no family.
Well, first of all, happiness partly is, if we focus on something called mindfulness, which you talked about, is actually living in the moment. It's self-awareness. So what you do is you because humans, their main mode of functioning is trying to reduce their own anxiety. But we all have an engine idle speed of anxiety, a background level of anxiety, which in evolutionary terms kept us alive because it made us aroused enough to escape predators and motivated enough to get our basic needs of survival: air, food, water, shelter. Nowadays, all it does is it keeps us motivated to get the next illusionary need that we think we need. So the first thing we need to do is to tell ourselves, actually, you know what? I am anxious. I don't need to do anything about it. That's what you need to do. If you get anxious thoughts coming into your mind, say to yourself, label them as anxious thoughts, because that's all they are. Doesn't mean you've got to do anything about it. Free your mind. That puts you in control.
So how do you free? So let's go a little bit deeper on this one.
That's one thing you've got to do. You have to practice sitting down, and as thoughts come into your mind, be non-judgmental. Just label them as anxious thoughts. That action alone has been shown to increase the length of the telomeres on your chromosomes, and telomeres are the little tails at the end of your chromosomes that determine your lifespan. The longer your telomere is, the longer your lifespan is. So the simple maneuver of taking back control of your life by not being controlled by your anxiety lengthens your lifespan. Why? Because pleasure is all about instant anxiety reduction. That's what pleasure is. Happiness is a more permanent reduction in anxiety, but that's peace of mind. It's not the instant hit. And therefore, as humans, we need to be focusing on how to be happy. And how to be happy means seeking less pleasure, actually, and focusing on the two things that genuinely make you happy, which is taking back control of your life whilst you have a close relationship with your family and your community.
But not everyone has family. Okay, so
then you've got to start. Then you have to start coming off social media and developing closer friends and community. You have to do it. You don't have a choice. Otherwise, you will become a depressed, anxious, potentially suicidal drone of Western society.
Social media has made us unhappier people.
Hugely. We discussed that last week.
And we have discussed that. Plus, sugar has made us unhappy as well.
Correct.
So if we cut out sugar,
plus our lack of structure.
What's the result? So we need some structure. Actually, do you know something? We need to put a almost like a cheat sheet together for our viewers, because the thing is, I think we talked about 650 odd viewers so far we've had.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is healthy considering that we could barely get 2 when we first started this. So it's constantly been growing, and we've constantly been getting a lot of interest in terms of what we say. I mean, even people in the coffee shop today, someone approached us about our podcast because they see us here every Friday, and we do it, which is great. That makes me happy. Because all of a sudden it's I suppose that comes from significance, doesn't it? But I wanted to talk about structure, getting your diet sorted out as well, and cutting sugar out is one way.
Exercise.
Exercise. Okay. Well, why exercise?
Exercise because it raises your dopamine and reduces inflammation.
Okay, of course it does. And okay, so those things, but structure is probably one of the most important things you do this, because when you get into a different structure, you get into, because environment is greater than will, by the way, guys. All right, environment is far stronger than will.
Because people are random. People need to be led. That's why environment is so important. For instance, never trust your partner if they go on business trips.
But the thing is, society is taught, particularly the millennials are being told, you can be anything you want to be. All of a sudden, everyone can be a leader.
In other words,
but they can't. But
of course they can't. What nonsense is that?
Yeah, because they
look at the leaders now. They can't be leaders. So why should an average person be a leader?
That's right. So, but the thing is, that's the message that's being sent out there, that you need to be a leader.
That's it.
You know, I mean,
if you look on Twitter, everything is about live your dream. You know, your fantasy. Try your harder, you can get what you want. Complete nonsense. All it is is promulgating the same messages that make people desperately unhappy, actually. Why should you excel? What's wrong with simply accepting yourself and being happy with your family and your community, rather than chasing ultimate pleasure?
Because also, let's face it, some people don't want to settle for mediocrity, Theo. Some people want a little bit more. Some people don't want to be working in
because
Tesco's.
I know, but it depends what you value. If you don't value family, if you don't value your community, of course, go ahead and try and save the world. You probably won't.
So we need
wise people know what to value, which is why as I've got more mature, shall we say, I've recognised wise people in retrospect, where I've seen very intelligent, capable people, and I think I used to think, why haven't they done more with their lives? And yet they have very warm, close family. Their community highly respects them. When people are in trouble, they usually go and see them for help. That's the kind of thing I would value being able to do myself.
Actually, I'll probably give our viewers somewhere to actually go and find out a bit more about values. There's a guy called Dr. John Demartini who talks about values, and he's a great example of someone who really turned his life about, of being homeless when he was very young, and he's a scholar to these days, and please go and check him out. He's written several books, Dr. John Demartini, and he does this great values exercise that's probably worth actually doing. So,
but there's a wonderful film, actually. It's a Greek one. It's called A Touch of Spice. You can see it on Netflix. And in it, there's a character who's a ship's captain. And initially, he's quite peripheral to the film. And what it is, he keeps on going on his journeys as a ship's captain, coming back with lots of presents for everyone. So he's very popular like that. And then one day, he suddenly gives it all up and gets married. And his little niece goes to him and he says, why have you suddenly stopped? You used to come and bring us all these presents. And he said to her, listen, when I used to come back from a trip, I always got out the map. The last time I returned, I looked in the mirror.
Wow. There you...
You see,
there's food for thought, guys.
Because of lack of structure, we become seekers. We're constantly seeking because we're unguided. And wherever there is lack of structure, you will find soldiers of fortune to take advantage of you and cause anarchy. And the simple, basic values, because at the end of the day, we're just here to reproduce. That's what nature wants us to do. We're not here to change history.
Yeah, but we've also progressed from that, because
no, we haven't. We're animals.
The marketplace, the way it is, we've got to adapt to what it is now.
But that's the usual programming
because we talked about this. But the thing
that makes people unhappy.
We don't have a savannah. We have a concrete car park over here that I'm looking out onto.
It's a concrete savannah. That's all it is.
It's not a concrete. Yeah. Okay. Well, look. We've only got 1 minute left of this podcast to go, so there's a couple of things that I just want to be able to wrap up with. So it's important. So the most important thing, if you actually want to take control, you want to be happier over Christmas or for the coming year, is to get some structure. Structure around a community and sorting your diet out. So actually, there's one thing. It's a Chinese model. It's called the Wheel of Life, and it's all about getting balance around the Wheel of Life. I think it's called the Wheel of Life. Have you heard of the Wheel of Life? You Google it, guys, and it's on there. So that's probably not a bad exercise to actually take. But get some structure. Is probably the main one, isn't it?
If you are totally lonely, go out, do some charity work. You'll feel amazing.
That's great. I've got to do my charity work on the 23rd of December this year.
Good for you.
All right. Okay, guys. Well, thank you very much. And the next podcast is going to be really about about the importance of goals, or is it important for that matter, because there's going to be a huge debate about that. So please tune into that one, because it's going to be a very important one which could set you up for the year ahead. Thank you very much for listening, and say goodbye. See you later.
Merry Christmas. Enjoy yourselves with your family. Eat whatever you want, but do pop on aspirin.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.